So welcome to my Benelli MR-1 reassembly video. This is my MR-1. I found there was a lot of information on YouTube about how to take this thing apart, but I couldn't really find a good video that showed how to put it back together easily. There's a few little tricks that you need to know. Once you get those sorted out, you should be in good shape. So hopefully I can share that with you and make your life a little easier. I've struggled through this the first few times I cleaned the rifle, and even when I first took it out of the box and tried to assemble it, it was a bit of an adventure. So the Benelli instructions are rudimentary at best. There are some little finesse things that need to happen for the top part to reassemble with the bottom section of the rifle here. So a few assumptions before we begin. As always, make sure the rifle's safe, no ammunition. That's just being smart. So we'll assume you're doing that. I also assume you know how to take the rifle apart. There's lots of good videos on how to do that. Another thing you're going to find is going to make your life a lot easier is if you have some type of stand that you can tilt forward slightly for the muzzle end down. It just allows you to slide the receiver together a lot easier. And trying to do this freehand is just about impossible. The first time I did this, I had another person help me, and it was still a hassle. You need something solid, and it helps to have the rifle tilted forward. So for those of you interested in the disassembly, first thing you need to do is unscrew this nut here. It slides right off. Then this fore end comes off. Now you'll notice on the fore end that there's a little pin there. You can use this on the next section that needs to be removed, which is this nut on top of the gas tube assembly. So you need to torque that off. Okay, so that comes off. And now you've got the gas tube here. You want to make sure the bolt is forward, and then the whole thing just pulls right off. So you've got the lower section here, and then the upper section here. You can remove this knob, slide the bolt out. I'm not going to do that. So here's the tricky part. A few things I want to note. I'm just going to take the camera off. There's a bit of a cup on the back there. You see that silver part? You need to be aware of that. When you put this back together, this pin on the back of the bolt needs to sit into that cup back there. Another thing to note is I find it helps if you just push all the gas tube stuff forward. And there's two pins here. You may as well pull them out as well. The tricky part is getting this section of the receiver right here. You can see that tab. The tricky part is getting it to seat into here properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift the gas tube, or the whole upper part of the rifle, back on. We're going to insert the bolt rod into there. We're going to set it squarely down, the front part squarely down on here, and then that's where the trick comes in. And if you don't do it properly, it's going to give you a headache. So let me reattach the camera and I'll show you how this goes together. Okay, now I'm going to assume that you've cleaned everything, put everything back together to this stage. Okay, what you want to do is make sure the bolt is assembled. Pull this all the way back. You're going to put that in the cupped end, and then here's where all the magic happens, right in here. You want to make sure this is seated here flat, so everything's in plane to slide together. This is in the cupped area, and then you want to push this whole assembly back about 1 inch. And then you want to pull the bolt back and it will drop down. As long as you've got everything lined up, it will drop down, and then you've pretty much got it made from here. So you want to slowly slide the rest of this forward. Okay. Sure you can see that. And then just made it. So really the trick is getting everything lined up properly and then sliding the whole upper part of the rifle back 1 inch and then pulling the bolt back to match, and it should all drop down. Once you figure that out, it's pretty straightforward. Took me a few times to get it. It still can be a little finicky. It really helps to have this mount and to have the rifle tilted forward. So obviously put the rest of your parts back together and you're ready to shoot again. Hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, I'll check the comments. Thanks.